Okay, so I hope you have been relaxed by that background music, and now you can continue.
Well, I can't. I'm outside, so I don't have the radio.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear anything on the phone.
Oh.
It just went blank.
Okay, all right. It was
Okay.
Puff the Magic Dragon that But
Very appropriate. Very appropriate.
let's get back to your presumption that there's a reduced cost whenever you use eminent domain to purchase property. And I don't think that is what the law says. What the law says is that you must purchase the property at its fair value or market value. So you don't take a step down in the purchase of the property. But of course, people can haggle with the government knowing that you have a purchaser on the other side, so they will try to up the cost of the property, and the government can simply step in and bring their the appraiser in and try to establish the property value. And if you need to go to court, you can go to court to establish the appraisal price. But it's not necessarily at a lower value.
Well, I beg to differ. I believe under the process of common condemnation, there is another avenue that allows in the benefit of taxpayers. Yeah. Certainly, if you have property that is developed, okay, to its fullest extent, allowed under the law, under the ordinances, if it's a county and under the law of the state, and not idle land.
Well, even idle land, you just value it as idle land, but you need to pay the fair market value. You cannot, otherwise it would be an unconstitutional taking of property if you don't pay for the true value of the land.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that had their lands taken away based on that. Prior to this, it set a precedent. But anyway, I just was wondering, but how they ended up paying 5 times the amount?
What was the tax value of that land that they paid for? What was the last evaluation or valuation of that land? Do you know?
$40,000.
Oh, that was the tax valuation of the land?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what they had in the reported. But what I'm getting at is that, people thinking that the railroad is not here. The railroad is here. It's been running. Okay? They're railroading everything to make sure that it does not stop. All right, brother?
Yeah.
I'll leave you, brother, with your other guests.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your call.
Aloha.
And if you would like to call, our telephone number is 524-1080. He raises a very interesting question with regards to eminent domain, and that's part of the question. What is the fair value of real property? Oftentimes, people who are paying real property tax normally try to lower the value of their property because they want to pay less taxes. And yet when the property is being sold, they try to get the highest value that they can. And when the government steps in, the government will use their previously advocated lower value to try to set the purchase price. That's part of the problems with eminent domain and how you look at what value it really is. Our telephone number is 524-1080. Let's go to our next caller. Aloha, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Polka.
Yes, good morning.
Gee, I wonder what kind of bananas they have on top of that property. Are they made of gold or something, or silver?
Maybe they're smoking.
Or is there some marijuana plants over there? I just have a comment, concerning this real, this big article about the bus Route 14 in Kaimaki,
Yeah.
front page.
Yeah.
They affected the bus, the city, with Wayne Yoshioka doing all these changes.
Mm-hmm.
But another concern I've been hearing from my friends, I'm a handy van rider,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been telling me that they've been hearing from some of the employees that the handy van service has really gone down to the tubes. Vans breaking down. Out of their fleet, 115 full-size vans, I would say about 50 were broke down in one day. And then
Wow.
they have vans going out. I hear from my friends that they have walkers and they have a hard time walking up those stairs. The lifts don't work.
Is that right?
Wow, what's going on? The maintenance, I believe Wayne Yoshioka made a comment to Kyoki Kerr on May 29th. It was on a news segment saying that the FTA came down, Federal Transit Administration, did an audit on handy van. 24 divisions of them, 8 were in violation, and one was documentation of their maintenance. And I think Wayne said on the news that they're doing a good job now keeping documentation and repair of the vans, but I don't know. It seems like it get worse, but I hope they can get this thing resolved because our kapuna are disabled and people that really need it do use the services to get around for the independence because they don't have a bus route next to their home, and it's kind of hard. Especially the dialysis people,
Right.
when they have to get to their hookup and they don't get there in time and the treatment's cut short. And getting home too, after is just very difficult. So I'm just praying that everything will go well, but
Do you know if the price for catching the van is set by federal law? Because some people are saying, I'm willing to pay more for an improved schedule. And is it a prohibition to increase the price for... And I think buses and vans are the same price. Is that correct?
Well, the bus and the van, bus is $2.50 for the trip, and handy van is $2.
Oh, I see.
Then there's I think like a $40 to $41 subsidized by the federal government pays for that services.
I see.
So on the main, I heard some places where it's $5 for one-way trips for handy van service. And a lot of people can't afford $5 now, fixed budget, so they don't ride the van.
And because the passengers on the handy van are all disabled just by definition, in order to be able to get on the handy van, you need to be disabled. The federal law sees disability as what they call presumptively low to low moderate income folks.
Right.
So when you're dealing with that particular group of people, you need to see them as low and moderate income, so that you cannot just jack up the price as if they're members of the general public for the bus system, the regular bus system.
Right.
So I think there may be some controls there as to how much one can appropriately increase the cost. But they do receive, what did you say, 40% of their budget by the feds?
Probably get so much from the feds. I know there's a bill in the Congress by the Republicans who want to cut transportation for the disabled and whatnot, because they're trying to find all the money they can get. Trillions of dollars that we're spending right now, but that's the right direction to go. Hey, by the way, did you notice about another scam that went on at UH with Stevie Wonder?
Oh yeah, we talked about that. I don't know to what extent or the full extent of this so-called scam, and I think the people who are being dismissed, the head of the Stan Sheriff Center and the
Jim Donovan.
And the athletic director. I think they may be jumping to conclusions because first of all they made no money and they actually lost. One of the two of them lost $50,000 because they used their personal assets to be sent to this group that is purportedly the scamming entity, and yet the two people who are being discharged themselves did not profit, and there is no suggestion that they they tried to cheat the system. From their side, it was up and up. They thought it was a valid entity, and so they mistakenly or they appropriately sent the money because it's still undecided, and that money was supposed to go in an escrow account.
Right.
And if it's an escrow, if it's a valid escrow account, then it's still being held in escrow, although the other party may not have been valid, the escrow account. And that's why you create escrow, to be the safekeeper of these funds.
Right.
So it raises still a lot of questions. And then they say, well, Stevie Wonder himself did not know that he was to be in Hawaii at a certain time.
Correct.
And is the way he conduct business, does he leave that to his agent or his general manager? Has there been a pattern in which this is the way that his concerts were established, that they work through his general manager who tells him, okay, now your calendar is you need to be here and there at certain times. So if you just come cold and you ask him, hey, did you know that you need to be in Hawaii at a certain time? I can understand he would say no, but that doesn't mean that he is not going to be booked. So all of those things has not been answered in the public, and so for me, I don't support the putting people on administrative leave, paying them for the same amount you would normally pay them,
Right.
and just keeping them on administrative leave. In the meantime, who takes care of that work? Now you got to pay someone else to step in and do that work, or they don't know how to do that work.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
you're just wasting money.
Yeah. So I am concerned. Anyway, I'm sorry for
Thank you.
Jumping in and telling you my concerns about it without you getting your your expression of what you think about this whole controversy.
Well, I just think that when Keoki Kerr broke the news on the Hawaii News Now, and I believe the chancellor, the new one, what do you think? Are you folks going to get the money back? And he said, I hope so, or something, some kind of comment. He should have said, no comment for now until the investigation is over. But he opened his mouth, and I don't know, you're paying the guy big money, $400-something thousand to be the chancellor, and he has his house and car and everything else, and he should just say no comment, you know.
Yeah.
You have to investigate all the facts before you make a decision, you know. But you know how the government moves. You know, it just was a spur of the moment. He just didn't think about it probably. He opened his mouth. And the government does run slow when it does things, you know, especially to help get the things that we really need for assistance for the public and whatnot.
Yeah.
Hey, you have a good weekend.
Okay, thank you for your call.
Aloha.
Take care. Aloha. And there was one more comment I wanted to make, and I recognize we have another caller, and I will get to the caller. There was an article or a letter to the editor, a complaint about the bus system that takes this person 3 hours to go from Makaha Towers way up in the valley and to get to Honolulu catching the Route 40 bus. And he complained that the bus system, it's supposed to be the best system that we have, and yet it takes him 3 hours to go from Waianae or Makaha out to Honolulu. Well, this Lolo person who wrote the article is catching the wrong bus. You get on the express bus if you want to cut the time short, and then it'll be about an hour, maybe hour 15 minutes. Or at bad times it may be an hour and 30 minutes. That's the express bus. But if you take the tour guided or unguided tour going to Honolulu and you stop at every bus stop in which a person is at the bus stop, it's going to take you 3 hours. So I think a little bit more information would help this rider who lives up in the towers and who catches the wrong bus. Okay, now going back to our telephone line, our telephone number is 524-1080. Oops, and I just lost that caller just as I was about to get to that caller. If you would like to call, our telephone number here is 524-1080. All right, so the traffic system, now we have two callers. Okay, let's go back to our lines. Aloha caller, welcome to the program.
Yeah, Poka.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you okay over the phone.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
you have a problem fixed, I don't know. Or perhaps you have a
In some places this week, I don't know. But
yeah.
I wanted to point out something about Obama's proposed taking away the tax breaks for those earning more than $250,000 annually. I think I think this comes out of the CBO. That is at the Congressional Budget Office.
Okay.
If you were to do that, it would raise about $85 billion annually. Okay, $85 billion is about what the federal government spends every 8.5 days.
Okay.
So, if you're going to tout this as a way to reduce a deficit, come on now, right? I mean,
okay.
You're not being upfront, yeah. If you're going to say that.
Okay.
So I don't think his measure should be sold as a serious measure to deal with the deficit. If you're going to spend at the current rate, the way they're spending.
Yeah.
See.
So what you are saying is that it has to be accompanied by a program of decreasing spending as well as increasing revenues.
Dramatically, it would seem, right? Because at the present rate, it's more a token. It's like something to appeal to the masses, right? Most people don't make over that much.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a certain amount of resentment, yeah? So you're just pandering to that, but you're not even seriously attacking the problem of the deficit. Yeah. Here again is another area in which the man is really disappointment that he would attempt to lead the public to believe that that he is seriously trying to solve the problem with the deficit, and that that one of his proposals to accomplish this, perhaps his centerpiece proposal, is to raise the taxes on the highest earners.
Yeah. Do you see this as being his single solution to address the deficit, or is this one aspect of an overall program, essentially to say that as we deal with deficits, we must deal with the issue of fairness first, and that is that we should have a fair system of people paying in to the Treasury on a more equal basis than what we now have?
Well, we get into the matter of what is fair.
Yeah, and
how would you define fair? To me, what is fair? To follow the Constitution.
But the Constitution,
Article 1, Section 2, third paragraph.
Yeah.
And again, Article 1, Section 9, fourth paragraph.
Okay, how does it address taxation?
It says you don't tax individuals directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that question has gone to the U.S. Supreme Court. The
Yes,
U.S.
it
Supreme
has.
Court
I can tell you the case, too.
Okay.
Bishop versus Union Pacific, R&R, 1916.
And what was the decision of the Supreme Court?
It says that the 16th Amendment created no new power of taxation, nor did it repeal the provisions of the Constitution which prohibit direct taxation.
Okay. So are you saying that the Supreme Court decision was to void the 16th Amendment?
No.
Okay.
It says that the nature of the 16th Amendment,
well, are you
is
saying
defined by the wording of the amendment itself.
Okay.
The amendment states that the Congress shall have power to lay taxes on incomes without apportionment. Okay? Since it is a tax without apportionment, it must not be a direct tax. Since the Constitution still
prohibits direct taxation.
Okay, now.
So in other
so
words,
what you're saying is,
the income tax is only constitutional as an excise tax, not as a direct tax.
There have been numerous challenges to the validity of the 16th Amendment that...
it was not properly ratified.
Now that's another question, and we can get to that question, but one thing at a time. People have challenged that the 16th Amendment does not allow the current income tax, the 1954 taxing authority of the Congress. They have also challenged the invalidity of the 16th Amendment as being appropriately ratified. Isn't it the case that the U.S. Supreme Court has decided against those challenges? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, now, having decided against those challenges, should the President of the United States ignore those decisions and just say that we agree that there is no appropriate taxation of individual income?
Well, that's what they're doing.
They're not ignoring
They are ignoring the decision of Boucherberg versus Union R&R, and they're ignoring those Article 1 provisions.
But that's still the arguments that have been brought to the U.S. Supreme Court, and you seem to be on the losing side of that argument. I'm asking, should the presidential campaign...
Where have they overturned the decision of
well, the U.S. Supreme Court has decided over and over again that your interpretation is wrong.
That's not my interpretation. That's a court's interpretation from the case of Boucherberg.
But the challenges brought against the central government or the federal government has lost before the Supreme Court. In the case of U.S. versus Cheeks, the Supreme Court was very clear. The taxing authority of the United States government, the income tax, is valid. And this was back in 1988.
What does that mean precisely? I mean, does it say that they can tax individuals directly?
Yes, that's what that court decision was when Cheeks challenged federal taxing laws. Well, and what you are saying is that the presidential campaign should say on both sides that we disagree with the Supreme Court. But then where is your separation of powers? Where is the special allocation of the Supreme Court to interpret the Constitution? And you say, no, I should interpret the Constitution, notwithstanding the fact that the Supreme Court has already addressed that specific issue.
This Cheeks case, I need to understand this. So you are saying then that this overturns...
Well, I tell you what. Let me give you just a citation. It's U.S. or Cheeks versus the United States. And it was decided, I think, back in 1988, if not maybe 1990, 93. That was right after Sam Kamaka's case in the Hawaii District Court. And because I only have 4 minutes left, I do have another caller.
Okay.
Why don't you take a look at that case, and then we can raise that question separately in another program. Okay, thank you for calling. Aloha. And let's go to our last caller. Aloha caller, sorry for keeping you waiting. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Polka. This is Michael. Nice to see you this beautiful morning.
Thank you, Michael.
Great show as always. I'm going to make a couple comments about an opportunity for all of the people in Hawaii, and it has to do with the recent problems at the University of Hawaii and the suspension with pay for the 2 individuals that you mentioned.
Yes.
I think it would be helpful for your listenership to put it into a broader context. We have a university who has consistently slipped in academic standings nationally over the last 20 years. We have a university who has had 5 separate formal complaints about institutional racism continuing to be manifested at the university. And the administration has consistently failed their responsibilities to investigate as by the bylaws at the university. There are assertions that the university is on ceded lands and that there needs to be open and honest discussion about retribution for rent not paid over the last 103 years. Also, it's useful to look at how people who dissent against administrative incompetence, going back to Oliver Lee in the late 60s and early 70s with his stand on the anti-war position in Vietnam, through the 80s with Hanani Trask, who made a compelling argument for institutional racism at the university, to individuals who were involved in the UARC, increasing militarization of UH.
Right.
And so you have a president currently, President Greenwood, who's making more money than the President of the United States in the top 5 paid persons.
Before you continue, Michael, I need to go. I have the background music already.
Oh, go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks for calling, and let's continue with this discussion next week.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye.
Aloha.
Kaulana na pua o Hawaii Kupa ama hope o ka aina Iki mai ka elele o ka loko ino Pala pala anunu me ka paka Pane mai Hawaii moku o ke ave Koku ana honoa o Pilani Ka ko'o mai kaua I o mano Pa'aku me ke oni o ka kuhi hewa Aolea e kau I ka pulima Maluna o ka pepa o ka enemi Po o hui ai nā ku ai hewa I ka pono sivila a o ke kanā